All right. We're going to start today having a seat on the mat. Finding that comfortable spot. Legs crossed, legs out. Feet on the floor, whatever's comfortable to you right now. Let those hands fall either in the lap, down by your sides, on the legs. And start to close the eyes. Start to focus on the breath. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Feeling the oxygen move all the way in through each nostril. Going down the back of the throat. Filling all those spaces in the lungs. Moving down to the fingers and toes. And then feeling it leave the body with each exhale. Taking this time to recognize the breath. Seeing how it makes us feel. Allowing us to get comfortable with it. Also taking these moments here, starting to let the day go, bringing ourselves into our rooms and onto our mats. So take these next few breaths here. We'll take just a couple more deep inhales and exhales. And when you feel ready, you can either continue to keep the eyes closed or start to slowly bring them open. Allow the arms to come down by your sides. We'll inhale, bring the arms up. And exhale, drop that left arm down onto the mat and just fold over that left side. Stretching out all those spaces between those ribs. Taking deep breaths, filling the space with those breaths. On that next inhale, pushing ourselves back up, bring that left arm up. As we exhale, drop that right arm down, stretching over that right side. And feeling all the spaces stretch out between those ribs and sending the breath there. And we'll inhale, bring both arms up. Exhale, turn those palms out, bring those arms down, and just move a couple times with your breath here. Inhale, bringing those arms up. And exhale, turning those palms, dropping those arms down. Inhale, bringing those arms up. Exhale, turning those palms out, dropping the arms down. We'll do it one more time. Inhale, bring those arms up. And exhale, turn those palms out, drop those arms down. And we'll come up onto those hands and those knees, making our way, taking our time getting up there. Taking that moment to line those wrists up under those shoulders, line the knees up under the heel or under the hips, feet tops flat on the floor, directly behind us. As we inhale, drop that belly down, bring that gaze up. Exhale, roll that spine up, tuck that chin to the chest. Inhale, drop that belly down, bring that gaze up. Exhale, roll that spine, tuck that chin. Inhale, dropping that belly down, bring that gaze up. Exhale, roll that spine in, tuck that chin. Moving a couple more times here. Inhale, dropping that belly down, bring that gaze up. Exhale, roll that spine, tuck that chin. Last one here. Inhale, dropping the belly down, bringing the gaze up. Exhale, rolling that spine, tucking that chin. And on that next inhale, coming to that neutral spine here. And we're going to take that right hand, sticking it either straight out to the side or bringing that arm up. And as we exhale, thread that arm through the opposite hand and knee, dropping the shoulder down, placing that right cheek on the mat. Taking the left hand, either letting it fall on that lower back or walking those fingers straight out, getting that extra stretch in that shoulder. And take those deep breaths. We'll take a couple more breaths down here. And we'll take that left hand, place it directly in front of that face, start to put pressure into that hand, lifting ourselves back up. Placing those hands back on the mat, making sure everything's lined up. Moving to that opposite side. So taking that left hand, either sticking it straight out to the side or bringing it up towards the sky. And as we exhale, threading it through that opposite side, bringing that left cheek down onto the mat. Taking that right hand again, placing it either on that lower back or walking those fingers out, stretching out that shoulder, and taking those deep breaths. Taking a couple more breaths here. And taking that right hand, placing it right by that face, putting that pressure into that hand, bringing ourselves back up onto all fours. We're going to take the big toes behind us, kind of shift those knees out a little bit wider, and then sink those hips down onto the heels. Slide those arms out, drop that forehead to the mat. Stretch out those shoulders here, stretch out that lower back. If those arms need a little break or maybe it's just too much on those shoulders, you can kind of walk the hands back a little bit or take those arms and place them alongside the legs. But take those deep breaths here. Feel free at any time throughout our practice tonight to go into this child's pose. Maybe taking a little bit extra break or just need to refocus the breath. Taking a couple more deep inhales and exhales here. And on our next inhale, we'll come back up onto all fours. Walk those knees back in. Tuck those toes behind us and lift those hips up towards the sky. Holding our down dog for just a couple breaths. Maybe lifting one heel, dropping the other, walking those feet out, allowing the backs of those legs to wake up and stretch out. And then let those feet come into stillness. Take a deep inhale and exhale. And walk those feet up towards those hands. We're going to fold ourselves over those legs, putting a little bit of a bend in the knees. Allowing ourselves just to hang over those legs. Taking a hold of opposite elbows with the opposite hand. Letting that neck just hang. Letting those shoulders hang. Maybe circling that head around. Shake it yes and shake it no. And then relax it down. Take a couple deep breaths. And then we'll release those elbows, let those hands come down, and slowly start to roll ourselves all the way up. Taking our time here, allowing that blood to slowly rush out of that head. As we come fully standing, roll those shoulders down the back, open those hands by the sides. Take a deep inhale and exhale it out. On the next inhale, we'll lift those arms up, bring the gaze up towards those thumbs. Exhale, open those palms out wide, swan dive over those legs. Inhale, slide those hands halfway, coming right under those kneecaps. Exhale, fold forward. On the next inhale, we're going to step those feet back to that high plank. We're dropping onto those knees. Exhale, coming all the way onto that mat. Inhale, untuck those toes, lift that chest. Exhale, coming back down. Inhale, tuck those toes, push back to down dog, either going all fours here or going straight to our down dog. Take a breath. And on our next inhale, walking the feet up to the hands. Folding ourselves over those legs. And inhale, come all the way up. Bringing those arms. Exhaling down. Inhale the arms up. Gaze going up. Exhale, opening those palms, swan diving over those legs. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step back to that high plank or onto those knees. Exhale, dropping all the way onto that mat. Inhale, untuck those toes, lift that chest. Exhale, come back down. Inhale, making our way back to our down dog. Taking a breath here. On the next inhale, walk the feet up to the hands. Fold ourselves over those legs. And inhale all the way up. Bringing those arms, exhaling them down. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, open palms, swan dive over those legs. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stepping back to that high plank or onto those knees. Exhale, coming all the way onto that mat. Inhale, untuck those toes, lift that chest. Exhale down. Inhale, push back to our down dog. We'll hold this down dog for a couple breaths here. Using this opportunity to catch that breath if we've lost it, or just to refocus, recenter on it. For our next little move here, we're going to move between lifting one leg and going into a plank. So as we inhale, we're going to lift up the right leg, keeping it straight out. As we exhale, we're going to drop it back down. Inhale, shift the hips forward, come to that high plank. Take a breath. Exhale, we're going to push those hips back. Inhale, lift that right leg straight up. Exhale, drop that leg down. Inhale, push those hips forward, coming to that plank. We can always drop on the knees here. Exhale, push those hips back up. Inhale, lifting that right leg. Exhale, drop that leg down. Inhale, shifting to that plank. Taking that breath. Inhale, shift back. Exhale, shift back. Inhale, we're going to lift the leg, the right leg, this time putting a bend in the knee. As we exhale, we're going to bring that knee forward, drop that foot between the thumbs. And exhale, drop that back knee down. Untuck those toes. Take those hands on that side. Give ourselves a little push up. We can adjust that front leg if we need to, so that knee is over that ankle. And we're sinking into the hips here. So we're not straight up and down, getting a little bit of an angle in that back hip. And inhale, bring those arms up. And we'll hold it here for a couple breaths. Feeling the stretch all the way down that left leg, that left hip area. Taking 2 more breaths here. And on our next exhale, we're going to shift those hands over that leg, dropping them onto the mat. Tucking those back toes behind us. If we can, lift that knee right up off the mat and kind of hop that back foot forward just a smidge here and rotate that heel so it's down on the mat with those toes pointing off at an angle. As we inhale, we're going to lift ourselves up with those arms straight up. Straighten that front leg, and then exhale, fold over that leg. Coming straight down here, so feeling the nice stretch all down the back of that front leg. We can always have a bend in that front leg, or if we have blocks or pillows, books, anything, we can stack that on each side of that front leg to help kind of bring us up a little bit. If that stretch is a little bit too much, this is a very deep stretch for that back of that leg. We'll hold it here for a couple breaths, maybe actually a little bit longer, allowing that leg to release. So using these poses that we hold a little bit longer to really focus on that breath, feeling it move into the back of that leg. Holding it for a few more breaths here. And then slowly start to put a bend back in that front leg. So from here, we can either take the hands, place them on the thigh, kind of give ourselves a little boost up. Or as we inhale, we'll shift ourselves up to standing, bringing those arms up with us, keeping that bend in that front leg. Make sure those hips are nice and forward, bringing those arms up. That knee, again, is always over that ankle. You can adjust that foot out if you want to, get a little bit more deeper into the pose. If the back knee needs a little bit of a help, I guess, you can rotate that foot so it's parallel with the mat. That will take a little bit of pressure off that back knee. But we'll hold this for a few breaths. And as we exhale, bring those arms down, let those hands come onto that hip, those hips. We're gonna take the back foot, rotate so we're up on those toes, and then step that back foot, if we want to, a little bit longer, so we're a little bit into our lunge a little bit more, but we do wanna make sure we're on those parallel railroad tracks so those feet aren't directly behind each other. So once we feel steady, we'll inhale, bring those arms back up. The hips are still facing nice and forward. Gaze is still straight in front of us. Take a couple breaths here. And we'll exhale, let those hands come down onto those hips. You can straighten that front leg, rotate that back foot so it's parallel with the mat. And we'll take that front leg also parallel, or straighten that foot. Oh my gosh. Turn that foot so it's parallel with the mat. And then take a second to line those toes up. So you got as close of an even line as we can between those toes. Inhale those arms up. And exhale, folding right down between those legs. And let that head hang here. Try not to put any pressure in that neck, just letting it release all down. Releasing those shoulders down. Taking a couple breaths here. And we'll take those hands, placing them right in front of the face. Straighten those elbows if we can. And we're going to start to walk the hands to the right foot, putting a bend in that knee. So we're going to come down as far as we can until we start to feel that stretch on that left inner thigh. If we get far enough, we can pick that foot up off the mat so those toes are coming straight up towards the sky. So you might be on the toes of that right foot, and that's okay. It just depends how loose that Achilles is. We'll stay here, or if we want to add that balance here, we'll find that spot on the floor. Slowly start to lift those hands off the mat. Bring those hands together, right in front of that heart. Holding this for just a couple breaths. And then we'll take those hands back slowly onto the floor and start to shift weight back into that opposite leg, walking ourselves back center, letting ourselves hang down between the legs. Take a deep inhale and exhale. And then take those hands, slowly walking them towards that right foot, rotating those feet. Rotating up on those back toes. And as we inhale, step that front foot back into a down dog. Take a couple of breaths here. Again, feel free to pedal the feet out, or if we need to drop into that child's pose at any point, feel free. All right, we'll let those feet come into stillness. If we're in a child's pose, popping up into our down dog. And we'll take the left leg this time, straightening that leg out. And as we exhale, drop that foot down. Inhale, come to that high plank or onto those knees, taking a breath. And exhale, push ourselves back to that down dog. Inhale, lift that left leg. Exhale, drop that foot down. Inhale, come to that high plank or onto those knees. Take that breath. Exhale, push back to down dog. Inhale, lift that leg. Exhale, dropping it down. Inhale, coming forward to that high plank or onto those knees. Exhale, pushing ourselves back. This time we're going to inhale, bring that leg up, put a bend in that left knee. As we exhale, bring that knee forward, drop that foot between those thumbs. Drop down onto that back knee, untuck those toes. Take those hands up on that thigh, giving ourselves that little help up. Again, adjust that foot if we need to, so that knee's over that ankle, and we're sinking into that front hip. Making sure those hips are nice and forward. Inhale, bring those arms up. Relax those shoulders down the back when we have the arms up, so we're not trying to put everything up into our ears. Just relaxing it down. And take those deep breaths. Holding it for a couple more breaths here. And on the next exhale, we're going to bring ourselves over that front leg, letting those hands come down. If we can, tuck those toes behind us, pop that back knee up, and hop that back foot forward just a little bit, and then rotate that heel down, and so those toes are pointing off to that side. Again, from here, we can either take the hands, place them on the thigh, helping ourselves up, or if we want, we can inhale, bringing ourselves directly up, bringing those arms with us, straightening that front leg, and as we exhale, folding back over that front leg. Again, we can always have a bend in that knee. If we need to grab those books, yoga blocks, pillows, anything to place on both sides of that foot to bring ourselves up a little bit. And take those deep breaths here. Again, holding this pose for just that little bit of extra time to allow the back of that leg to release. And always sending the breath into that leg. The backs of our legs can tend to get very tight if we're sitting all day. Even if we exercise a lot, runners, walkers, they start to shorten. Get super tight back there, so this is a really good stretch to do to allow everything to loosen up, lengthen out. And it's also great to be able to focus on the breath in these poses that we hold just a little longer. We'll take a couple more breaths here. we'll start to put a bend in that front knee. Take those hands on that thigh, give ourselves that help up. Keeping that bend in that front knee. Again, we can walk that foot out a little bit if we want to get a little bit deeper into the pose. That knee is going to be over that ankle, hips facing nice and forward, and inhale, bringing those arms up. And take those deep breaths. Taking just a couple more breaths here. And that next exhale, let those arms come down onto those hips. We'll rotate that back foot so we're up on those toes. And step that foot back or off to the side. We want to be on those railroad tracks, not directly behind each other. So once we feel nice and steady, those hips are still facing forward. We'll inhale, bring those arms up again. Again, relax them down the shoulders. And take those deep breaths. And try not to have the elbows in towards the ears either. You just want them coming straight up out of those sockets. So you can always take the pinkies and kind of rotate them in just a little bit towards the face, and that kind of opens those arms up just a little bit. We'll hold it for a couple more breaths here. And on that next exhale, let those arms come down to the sides. Straighten that front leg, rotate that back foot. I'm going to turn around for you guys so it's parallel with the mat. And rotate that front leg so it's also parallel with the mat. Taking that little bit of extra time here to line up those toes as close as we can. We'll inhale, bring those arms up. And as we exhale, folding straight down between those legs. Letting everything just relax down here. Releasing that head down, releasing those shoulders, taking those breaths. And we'll take those hands, placing them right under that face, straightening those elbows. And starting to walk those hands to that left leg, starting to put that bend in that knee, going only until we feel that stretch on that inner thigh. If we can't go far enough, we'll drop down, bring that right foot up onto the heel, toes pointing straight up towards the sky. We can stay right here if we want to add that little bit of that balance here, finding our spot on the floor. Starting to slowly lift those hands. Taking the palms together, placing them right in front of the heart. Holding this for a couple breaths. And then we'll slowly take those hands, place them down onto the mat or floor. And start to straighten that left leg out, bringing ourselves back center. And we'll let ourselves hang here. Take a deep inhale and exhale. And then we'll start to walk those hands towards the front of our mats, rotating those feet around, coming up on those back toes. And stepping that front leg back to a down dog. Taking a moment here, again, to pedal those feet out. Or if we need to drop into that child's pose, catching the breath here. And then if those feet are pedaling, let them come into stillness. If we're in our child's pose, come up into our down dog. And we'll inhale, lift our right leg up. As we exhale, we're going to start to shift the knee forward. This time dropping the knee between the thumbs instead of the foot. And then allowing that back leg to come down, resting that foot onto the mat. Letting our front knee be kind of our stretch anchor here. So if we have it directly in front of us, depending on how tight our hips are, that might be the least amount of stretch that you have. If you take that shin and walk it so it's parallel with that mat, that'll be the most stretch you're going to get. But again, it's going to depend on how tight those hips are. So throughout our pose here, we want to make sure to keep those hips nice and even, so we don't want to drop down onto that right hip. And that back leg sticking straight out in front of us. We'll take this at a couple stages here, allowing that hip to loosen up. At any point in this pose, if you want to come up to a higher position or if you need to come out of it, please feel free. This is another one of those deep stretch poses. We'll take in some phases here again to allow that leg or that hip to loosen up. So move through everything with your breath here. And if we feel ready, we'll slowly come down onto those elbows. Taking our time here. Again, making sure to keep that right hip up and off the ground. So if you need to place a pillow or a block or anything under that hip, please feel free. And then when we feel ready, we'll take the head, placing it onto those stacked hands, maybe stack those fists, or we can go directly down onto the mat. Again, only going as far as is comfortable on that hip. So if at any stage you can stay right there throughout this pose. Wherever you're at, take those deep breaths, sending that breath into that hip. And give those right toes a nice little wiggle. Sometimes they start to tingle or fall asleep. If we just wake them up a little bit and then relaxing them. Taking a couple breaths here. We're holding it for just maybe 2 more breaths. And then slowly starting to lift that head up. Take those elbows, kind of walk them in so they're under those shoulders. Take the hands, place them directly where those elbows were, bringing ourselves up slowly. And then rolling onto that right hip, bring that back leg around in front of us. And let that right leg come out, giving it that nice little shake. If you want to straighten both legs, shake them both out. And we'll make our way back to our hands and our knees here. And tuck those toes behind us, come into our down dog. Hold for just a breath. And on that next inhale, lifting that left leg up. As we exhale, shifting that knee forward, dropping that knee between those thumbs. And letting that right leg come down onto the mat and tucking those toes. Again, that left knee is going to be that anchor. So depending on that flexibility in that hip, feel free to place it wherever you feel that stretch. And always making sure those hips are nice and even with each other so we're not rolling down on that left hip. So feel free to grab that pillow or anything if you want to keep that under there. And again, taking this at stages. So at any points, if you need to come out of the pose, maybe come up a little bit higher, please feel free. And take those deep breaths here. Allow that hip to loosen itself up. And if we feel ready, we'll drop down onto those elbows. And going the deepest part of the pose, only when we're ready, starting to either stack those hands, stack those fists, or letting that forehead come directly onto that mat. Again, whatever is comfortable. And take those deep breaths. And give those left toes a nice little wiggle here. And let them just relax. We'll hold it for just a couple more breaths here. When you feel ready, slowly start to lift that head up. Bring those elbows in right under those shoulders. Take the hands, place them right where those elbows were, lifting ourselves up. And slowly starting to roll down onto that left hip. Bring that right leg around, bring that left leg straight in front of us, and giving them that nice wiggle. And we'll take both feet together in front of us, bring them as close to the hips as we can get them, and rock side to side. So we're up on those sit bones. And then coming into stillness, take an inhale. And as we exhale, fold over those legs, or feet, I guess. Trying to keep the length in that upper back. So we don't want to round ourselves over the feet. Almost as if we have someone pulling straight from the ponytail that's on the crown of the head, just pulling that spine. Allowing those knees to come naturally down to the floor, trying not to push them. And taking those deep breaths. We'll take those hands, place them on the floor, slowly pushing ourselves back up. Take the hands under those knees, give those legs a little help back up, and then we'll straighten the legs out in front of us. Again, kind of rock side to side so we're up on those sit bones. And then let those arms come down to the side. Inhale, bring the arms up. And as we exhale, fold straight over those legs. Just coming down to wherever we feel that stretch in the backs of the legs as well as in that lower back. Again, always we can have a bend in those knees. And trying again to keep that length in that upper back. So feeling that pull from that ponytail. And taking those deep breaths. We'll take those hands, place them alongside the legs, slowly walk them back, helping ourselves up. We're going to take the left foot, place it on the mat, and then cross it over that right leg with that foot right on the outside of that right knee. Sitting up nice and tall here. We'll take an inhale. And as we exhale, twisting that upper body towards that bent leg, taking the right arm alongside that thigh, twisting ourselves around, trying to bring the gaze as far as we can over that back shoulder. And take those deep breaths. And we'll slowly start to rotate ourselves back, forward. Uncross that leg. Taking that right foot this time, placing it onto the mat. And then crossing that leg over so that foot's on the outside of that left knee. Sitting up nice and tall here. Taking a deep inhale. And as we exhale, twisting towards that bent leg, bringing that left arm alongside that leg and bringing that gaze over that back shoulder. Taking those deep breaths. And we'll slowly start to bring ourselves back forward, uncross that leg. Take both feet onto the mat and slowly start to make our way all the way down onto our backs. We'll lay those legs all the way down. Take the hands, place them under the head, interlacing those fingers right at the base of the head here. Let the shoulders and elbows just relax down. And then slowly pick up the head, pick up those shoulders, and let them just shift over to that right side. So now your upper body's at a little bit of an angle here. Then we're going to take the right leg, walk it towards that same edge, that right edge of the mat. Take that left leg, walk it over to that right edge as well. So we can either stay right here with those feet right next to each other, or if we want to add a little bit more of a stretch, we can take the left foot, crossing it over that right ankle. So we should feel a stretch all down that left side body, all the way down to the leg here. And take a few deep breaths. And we'll slowly uncross that left ankle if we have it on there. Let that left leg come back center. Walk that right leg back center. Pick up that head and shoulders, come back center, lay it back down. And then we'll pick that head up again, pick those shoulders, going to the left side this time, laying it down onto the mat. We'll take the left leg, walking it over to that left side, and then follow it by that right. Again, keeping those legs right next to each other, or adding a little bit to that stretch, taking that right foot and placing it on that left ankle. Again, that stretches all down the right side of the body now. And take those deep breaths. And then we'll slowly take that right leg, uncrossing that ankle, letting that leg come back center. Follow it by that left leg. Pick up that head and those shoulders come back center. Allow those hands to come out from under the head. Kind of bring those elbows in over the chest and stretch those shoulders out, kind of rolling it around a little bit. And then taking those arms up overhead, doing one final stretch here. So stretch those arms all the way up. Stretch those legs all the way down. Full body stretch, just like we're waking up in the morning. And then release it all down to the mat. Let those legs fall to wherever's comfortable. Bring those arms down alongside the body. Start to close the eyes. Start to refocus on the breath. Starting to clear the mind of any thoughts we might have. Releasing any stresses or tensions we're holding in the body. Watching them all just go away with each exhale. Feeling ourselves sink deeper, deeper into our mats. Allowing these next few minutes to be your time. To not have to worry about anything. To not have to think about anything. To just be here with yourself and on your mat. Start to bring a little life back into your body by wiggling your fingers and toes. Start to roll your wrists and ankles. Rock your head from side to side. Begin deepening your inhales and exhales. When you feel ready, slowly take one foot, place it on the mat, and follow it by the other foot. Slowly taking one knee into the chest, followed by the other. Taking hold of the legs and rocking side to side. And when you feel ready, roll onto your right side. With your right side grounded by the earth, leaving your left side open to the sun, the moon, and the stars, and all the gifts the universe has to offer you today. When you feel ready, come up to a comfortable seated position. We'll take the hands in front of the heart. Close the eyes one last time. Take a deep inhale and exhale it all out. Thank you for sharing your practice with me this evening. I hope you have a great rest of your night. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.